Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down every single chapter of the greatest story ever told. And today, we are on chapter 29, The Slope.
And what a fitting title. Everyone in this chapter is fighting an uphill battle, some more literally than others. The path to one's goals is rarely a flat, easy road. It is almost always a slope, steep and fraught with obstacles.
Oh, for real. It's like trying to haul a whole shipment of atom wood up a mountain. You're slipping, you're sweating, and every step forward feels like it costs you 2 steps back. But you know what? Before we even talk about oily slopes or lost swordsmen, we have to talk about the moment this chapter cemented Usopp as a future legend. Forget the lies, forget the running away. We're talking about a guy, beaten and broken, with a whole pirate crew running past him, and he has the sheer guts to reach out, grab one of their legs, and refuse to let go.
That was the moment. He was just a kid from the village whose entire identity up to this point was built on falsehoods and avoidance. And in that instant, with his body failing him, his true self emerged. He became its sole defender. All the posturing fell away, and only the core of his character remained.
It's that kind of heart that makes this crew special. That's the iron will that becomes the backbone of the Thousand Sunny. If you're here for that journey, watching these characters build their own legacy from scrap parts and pure spirit, make sure you're subscribed. You won't want to miss a single step of how they get there. Now let's get into it, because Usopp starts this chapter completely alone.
He does. The Black Cat pirates are at the bottom of the slope, a unified armed force, and he's at the top, a single boy with a slingshot, the only thing between them and Syrup Village.
The visual framing is perfect. He's physically and metaphorically looking down on them, holding the high ground, but we know he feels like the smallest person on the entire island.
And what does he do? What's his only weapon? He lies. He tells them he's got 8,000 men ready to back him up. It's the most Usopp thing he could possibly do. He's shaking, he's terrified, his knees are knocking together, but he puffs out his chest and pulls out the one tool he's mastered since he was a little kid. It's not a sword, it's not a devil fruit, it's his voice.
It's a fascinating defense mechanism. When faced with overwhelming physical force, he counters with overwhelming psychological force. He can't match their numbers, so he invents his own. It's a bluff born of pure desperation, and frankly, it shouldn't work. His own former crew, the Usopp pirates, are watching from the bushes, and even they know it's a total lie.
But it almost does, because the guy in charge, Jango, is a complete moron.
And Jango, the acting captain, completely believes him. His crew is looking at him like he's an idiot, but he falls for it hook, line, and sinker. He's immediately intimidated, his confidence shattered by the words of a teenager.
It's such a perfect Oda move. It immediately establishes that Jango is a fool, which lets the real menace of Captain Kuro hang over everything.
We haven't seen Kuro in action, we've just heard about his plan. By making his second-in-command a bumbling, easily tricked hypnotist, Oda makes Kuro seem even more terrifying by comparison. You start to think, if this is his first mate, how chillingly competent must the real captain be? The grunts aren't the real threat here. It's the guy we haven't even seen fight yet.
It also connects to a theme for Usopp that we're just seeing the start of. All of his biggest lies have a way of coming true. He doesn't have 8,000 men now, but think about the future. Think about the Thousand Sunny Grand Fleet. This is the seed. His lies aren't just cowardice, they're aspirational. It's as if he's speaking his legend into the world with such conviction that the world itself eventually has no choice but to listen and conform.
Whoa, that's heavy. He's speaking his own legend into existence. He's not just lying about having 8,000 men. He's lying that he's a brave captain who would stand against an army. And in this chapter, by standing there, he's making that lie come true in real time. That's super. But his bluff only lasts so long. The pirates spot a ship nearby, which just so happens to be the one Nami stole, filled with her treasure.
A very convenient coincidence, though one that speaks to the chaos of the morning. Nami, in her haste to secure her treasure from Luffy and the others, anchored it right in the path of the pirate invasion. Her own paranoia has inadvertently drawn her into this conflict.
Usopp, in his desperation, tries to use it as a bribe. He claims it's his treasure and tells them to just take it and leave the island. He's trying to wheel and deal, to find any solution that doesn't involve fighting. It's his last-ditch effort to be a clever trickster instead of a warrior.
A valiant effort, but pirates are gonna pirate. They basically say, thanks, we'll take the treasure and we'll destroy the village. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of his opponent's motivation. They aren't here for random plunder. They are here on a specific murderous mission from Kuro. There is no negotiating. And just when it looks like Jango is about to hypnotize Usopp, whack!
Nami arrives, and her first priority is perfect. Not, Usopp, are you okay? Not, what's the plan? It's a full-on whack to the back of Jango's head with her staff for trying to give away her treasure. It's so completely in character. She's not a straightforward hero yet. Her fortune comes first. You can practically see the berry symbols flashing in her eyes.
But her actions speak louder than her words. She could have grabbed her treasure and run away. In fact, that would have been the most logical course of action for the Nami we think we know. Get the bags, get on the boat, and get out of there. But she didn't. She stayed. She hit the pirate captain and chose to stand with Usopp on that slope. She might say it's about the money, but her feet carried her into the heart of the battle.
I think deep down she already sees a bit of herself in Usopp. They're the normal ones, you know? They don't have rubber powers or 3 swords. They have to use their brains and their guts to survive. Seeing him stand there alone, I think it struck a chord with her, even if she'd never admit it.
It's the beginning of a very specific bond. They are the pragmatists of the early crew, the ones who understand fear in a way Luffy and Zoro simply don't. That shared vulnerability is a powerful foundation for friendship.
And Jango, what a buffoon. He was trying to hypnotize Usopp, but Nami's hit makes him hypnotize himself again. His own weapon, this ring he swings back and forth, just swings right back into his own face and bam! He just falls over fast asleep. Oda's comedy timing is just undefeated.
It's a great beat. It removes the leader from the board, at least for a moment, and evens the odds just a tiny bit. Now it's 2 regular people versus a pirate crew. The tension immediately ratchets back up because the momentary relief is replaced by an even starker reality. The fool is gone, but the horde remains.
Exactly. Nami tells Usopp to get to fighting while she supports him, and this is where we see the birth of Usopp's fighting style. He's not a brawler. He's not going to run down there and start throwing punches. He pulls out a bag of Caltrops, these sharp little metal jacks, and they just scatter them down the slope.
It's asymmetrical warfare. He can't win a direct fight, so he's changing the battlefield to suit his strengths. He's a trickster, a saboteur. This is the essence of his contribution to the crew for years to come. He doesn't overcome obstacles with pure power. He outthinks them. He turns the environment itself into a weapon.
And it works. Oh man, it works beautifully. The pirates are slipping on the oil Usopp spread earlier, and now they're getting their feet pierced by Caltrops. It's chaos. They're screaming, they're falling over each other, and it buys him time. And then he pulls it out. The slingshot. The pachinko. He starts taking aim and firing off these lead balls, and he's actually hitting them. He's a genuine sniper.
He is. He's precise. This isn't just a kid messing around. It's a legitimate skill. We've seen him use it to knock an apple off a kid's head, but this is different. This is combat. He's targeting moving, charging enemies under extreme pressure. We're seeing the foundation of the future sniper of the king of the pirates. He's holding off an entire crew with a slingshot and some clever traps. It's magnificent.
It's the 2 of them, the normal ones, holding the line against dozens of pirates. I love it. It's all brains and guts. But while they're fighting for their lives, our monster trio is, well, they're having some trouble.
That's one way to put it. The chapter cuts back to the other slope, the one covered in oil. Zoro is still stuck. He has been sliding down the slope repeatedly, a Sisyphean punishment for a man with no patience.
He finally figures out a way up, and it's so perfectly Zoro. He just unsheathes his swords and starts stabbing them into the cliff face to climb. No complicated plan, no looking for another way around, just pure, stubborn, brute force problem solving. It's beautiful. He sees a problem, and he cuts it, even if the problem is gravity.
It's his core philosophy in action. If an obstacle is in your way, you become an unstoppable force and go through it. It works for fighting, and in this case, it works for climbing. He gets to the top, exhausted, ready for a fight, and then he's faced with his one true nemesis.
A T-intersection.
He has absolutely no idea which way is north. His internal compass is utterly, hopelessly broken. All that effort, all that raw power, and he is completely neutralized by a simple choice of left or right.
And then we see Luffy, who's also at the top, just running around frantically because he also has no idea which way is north. The cavalry is here, but they're completely lost 20 feet from the battle. They're literally right there. They can probably hear the fighting, but they're just running in circles.
This isn't just a gag, though. It never is with Oda. He uses their terrible sense of direction as a narrative tool. It isolates Nami and Usopp. It forces them to have this moment, to be pushed to their absolute limits. If Luffy and Zoro had just shown up immediately, we never would have seen what Usopp is truly made of. His greatest moment of heroism would have been preempted.
Bro, that's such a good point. It's like Oda's intentionally sidelining his strongest characters so the others have room to grow. He's not just writing a story about Luffy, he's writing a story about a crew. And for a crew to be strong, every part of it has to be tested. It raises the stakes for Usopp's fight because we, the readers, know that help isn't coming anytime soon. They have to do this themselves.
And back on their slope, that reality is setting in. The pirates are starting to adapt. The element of surprise is gone. The Caltrops aren't stopping them anymore. They just power through, stepping on them, screaming in pain, but they don't stop climbing.
They're like zombies. Nami's ready to take a break thinking they've got it handled, and then she realizes there are Caltrops behind them too. Usopp blames her, she blames him. It's that perfect panicked bickering that feels so real. They're just two terrified people way in over their heads, and their fear is making them lash out at each other. But the distraction is all the pirates need.
The line breaks. The pirates swarm up the slope, and one of them, a big guy, gets through. He lands a devastating blow on Usopp. He goes down hard. The sound effect in the panel is brutal. The fight, for all intents and purposes, is over.
And this is it. This is the part of the chapter that gives me goosebumps every time I read it. The pirates are just running past his body, ignoring him, heading for the village. He failed. The traps failed. The lies failed. He's beaten. But he's not done.
He reaches out, his hand shaking, covered in dirt and blood. He can barely move, but he finds the strength to do one more thing. He grabs the leg of the pirate who hit him.
And he says it, the line. He promises he'll make sure tomorrow is just as peaceful as yesterday for everyone in the village. It's not a boast. It's not a lie. It's just a raw promise from a guy with nothing left to give but his own willpower. All the bluffs are gone, all the bravado has been shattered, and what's left is the heart of a warrior, a real warrior of the sea.
It's the distillation of his entire character. He's not fighting for a grand dream in this moment. He isn't trying to become the king of the pirates or the world's greatest swordsman. He's fighting for his home, for his friends, for Kaya. It's the most grounded, relatable motivation imaginable, and it's what makes him so heroic. He's literally trying to stop an army by holding onto one person's ankle. It's an act of impossible, beautiful defiance.
That's why he's a straw hat. That right there. That's the moment we all saw it. He will never, ever give up on his friends or his home. That unbreakable spirit is his real strength. It's stronger than any lead ball he could ever fire.
A pirate, annoyed by this final act of resistance, moves to finish him off, to just crush his skull right there. And Nami, who was just arguing with him a moment ago, who was just blaming him for the Caltrops, shoves the pirate away. She saves his life.
She does, and she gets knocked aside for her trouble, but she did it. She put herself in harm's way for him, for Usopp. Not for treasure, not for a map, but for a person. The bond is forming right here in the dirt and blood of this forgotten slope. We're watching the crew chemistry being forged in fire.
At this point, Jango finally wakes up from his nap. He stretches, yawns, and assesses the situation with a cold, clear eye. He sees the state of things and gives a chilling order. He tells the crew to just ignore Usopp and Nami. Leave them. Don't waste time finishing them off.
And he gives the reason why. It's not because he's merciful. It's not a tactical retreat. He says that if the plan is delayed, Captain Kuro will kill them all. Not punish them, not fire them. Kill them.
This is a critical piece of information. It reframes the entire conflict. It tells us everything we need to know about Kuro. He's not a charismatic leader like Buggy who inspires a strange sort of loyalty. He's not a powerhouse like Don Krieg who leads from the front with overwhelming force. He's a cold, ruthless manipulator who rules his crew through absolute terror. His own men are just pawns in his scheme, and they're completely disposable.
It draws such a perfect line between his crew and Luffy's. Think about it. Luffy would literally die for any one of his friends. He was ready to face down Buggy's whole crew for Zoro. He fought a giant lion for a dog. Kuro would kill his own crew for being 5 minutes late. It makes the coming fight so much more personal. It's not just pirates versus villagers anymore. It's a battle of ideologies, freedom and loyalty versus fear and control.
Usopp makes one last desperate attempt to stand, to stop them. He's on his last legs, crying in frustration. The pirates are about to just walk over him and Nami and move on to the village. The camera pulls back, showing their beaten forms and the unstoppable tide of pirates about to wash over them. All hope is gone.
And then it happens.
A sudden, massive impact. A blur of motion.
Pirates go flying everywhere. It's not a punch, it's an explosion of bodies. The entire front line of the Black Cat crew is just obliterated in an instant. And standing there at the top of the slope, silhouetted against the sky, are Zoro and Luffy.
They've finally found North!
The cavalry has arrived. The timing is absolutely perfect. It's a masterclass from Oda. He let Usopp and Nami have their moment, pushed them to the absolute brink of defeat, showed us their incredible courage, and then, right when all hope was lost, he brought in the monsters. Super! That was the moment. That arrival was everything. You see Usopp and Nami on the ground, beaten but alive, and their two new friends standing over them, ready to unleash hell. The whole future crew finally assembled for their first real fight as a team. What a chapter.
It really is a masterclass in tension and release. For several pages, the reader feels the same hopelessness that Usopp and Nami do. The arrival of Luffy and Zoro isn't just a relief for the characters, it's a relief for us. And it sets the stage perfectly for the chaos to come. Now, the real battle begins.
Absolutely. And you just know Luffy is pissed. He sees his new friends beaten and broken on the ground. The fun and games are over, man. Someone's about to get their butt kicked all over Syrup Village. All right, before we wrap, let us know down in the comments what you think was Usopp's single most heroic moment in this chapter. Was it the lie, the traps, or the leg grab? That discussion is what keeps this ship sailing. Now, Robin, let's get to it. Predictions for Chapter 30.
All right, I'll go first. My first prediction is that we're going to get a small flashback. Jango's comment about Kuro killing his crew feels like it was setting something up. It's a very specific and terrifying threat. I think we'll see a brief scene from 3 years ago, showing Kuro's cruelty firsthand and explaining why his crew is so utterly terrified of him. Something to establish his reputation beyond just words.
Ooh, I like that. A little taste of the real villain. Show, don't tell. Okay, for my first one, I think next chapter opens with pure cathartic destruction. Luffy is angry. He saw his friends hurt. I predict he is just going to gum Gatling a huge chunk of the remaining pirates out of existence. Not even a fight, just a statement, a cleaning of the slate to show the massive power gap between a real captain and these grunts.
That feels right. A reestablishment of the stakes now that the main players are on the field. For my second prediction, I think Luffy is gonna get distracted. We just saw how goofy and strange Jango is with his backwards walk and his hypnosis ring. I can see Luffy getting completely sidetracked trying to fight him or imitate him, maybe even getting briefly hypnotized himself, leaving Zoro to handle the more serious threats for a bit. It feels very in character for him to focus on the weirdest person in the room.
That is 100% a Luffy thing to do. He'd be fascinated by the backwards moonwalk. All right, my second prediction. Zoro is going to get a proper fight with the Meow Band brothers, Sham and Bucci. We've seen them, they're Kuro's main guards, but they haven't done anything yet besides stand there. Zoro needs a warm-up before Kuro, and a 2-on-1 fight against Kuro's main enforcers feels like the perfect way to let him stretch his legs and show off for the first time since Buggy.
A good warm-up for him, and a chance to see how he handles multiple opponents. Those are solid predictions. And a final thought, just from Oda's author comment for the week, he mentioned his wisdom tooth was bothering him because he stopped going to the dentist.
The man gives us these incredible stories, these perfectly paced chapters with emotional highs and lows that will be remembered for generations, all while dealing with a toothache. Oda is built different, man. Just built different. A true legend. All right, that's our time. Join us next week as we break down Chapter 30.
Until then, keep sailing.